This is the New Reach. I'm Dave Wise, and this is not another New Reach full episode, but a vlog. Going forward, vlogs will be my way of getting intermediate short-form content out to you faster. If you watched episode 1, then you're aware of my interview with the leaders of two groups in Utah that engage themselves in social activism and political strain and all that goes with it. Today, I'm bringing you more of the interviews from Robertson and John Sullivan, as I will be for the next few weeks. For a quick recap, here's who they are. John Sullivan, a Black Lives Matter activist, leader of Insurgence USA and Black Fist Coalition, is involved in protests in Utah. One of those protests caught headline news as a civilian driver was intentionally shot by another protester. Robertson responded to this violence in his hometown by quickly getting on Facebook and called for others who believe in exercising their Second Amendment rights to show up at the next protest to voice their intolerance for any more violence. The strain between these issues continue in Utah as they do throughout the rest of our country. This is the start of each interview that I cut interchangeably between them from each of my questions. Very minor editing of their statements was done if they were repetitious in their own answers. With a million questions running through my head of what to ask them, I thought let's start with what they believe about the ideals of our national founding document and what it claims in its pursuit and reason for being, the preamble to our Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. What does this mean to you today?
Well, it's still beautiful, and it's a great ideal. I think it should still hold true today. It seems like maybe there's a lot of people that don't agree with that for some reason, which is a little scary. So I'm hopeful that we can continue like that in our country. I hope we can continue like that. It is kind of scary. I guess my initial reaction is like, oh gosh, that's at stake right now.
I think that outlines just the guidelines for our country as far as like our people and like what we want as far as like the freedoms. I also think like it's just like more of a precursor to what, you know, the overall doctrine says.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe that we accomplished those goals in our history or currently?
Yes, I do. I
think it's had its moments for sure, but I don't think we've achieved it to its full potential. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, in pursuit of happiness, right? In pursuit of our freedoms, we're constantly evolving to become something greater. And I think that's the great thing about the Constitution is that it enables us to be able to do so, but it also enables us to have a lot of destruction.
Do you think it's possible to accomplish those goals under the current political and social climate?
Yes, I do believe it's possible. However, it's probably more difficult right now because of the divisiveness of the country. And it's going to take a lot of work and maybe some fighting to keep it.
That's a great question. I think it is. It's an uphill battle. You know what I'm saying? That it's going to be something that is not going to be easily accomplished, because I think there's a lot of things in the system that is corrupt, that would make your path difficult to get to that, but it's not saying it's out of the question, because like there's so many things that you know, we can do that are within our rights and within the Constitution itself that enables us to get to where we need to go. But it's not going to be without struggle or opposition.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that people of our nation identifying politically through two distinct parties, Democrat and Republican, that doesn't, of course, include all people because we have moderate, independent, and all these other, but dramatically we are in two separate parties. So with that in mind on this question do you think that people of our nation identifying politically through two distinct parties, Democrat and Republican, that those goals are attainable?
I do believe that that's attainable. But again, it's going to take a lot of work because right now we're so divided. There's going to have to be some coming together to work towards that common goal, which is that blessing that the Constitution gives us, that way of life. Seems probably tougher now than ever, though, for that to happen.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I'm very neutral in the sense, like, I don't pick sides on which political party that, I choose to go with or who I choose to vote for. The thing is that is important is that there's only two parties really that have the control. Like, you can say that there's other parties out there, but I mean, when are you seeing them being elected or, right? So the thing is that the current system is manipulated to a degree to have these two powerful parties that are going back and forth. Now, you can say it's in their invested interest to keep that in place, right? Because, regardless of what bashing they do between each other, they're never going to let somebody else come into the, limelight, right? Like,
I'm cutting in here to share this in context to John's answer, because this is happening right now in our current election. It's an amazing and blatant example of a them move to stomp out our freedom of choice for another electoral option in our ballots. Now listen to how our current Democratic Party leaders forced out the possibility of another party taking votes away from them in key election states. Here's a clip of that. The link in the new full news report will be in the description below.
Now this time around, they are absolutely determined to deny voters any choice whatsoever, so they've launched an all-out war on Green Party ballot access with some serious success thus far. This is actually completely outrageous. So here's the details. In Montana, Democrats have successfully gotten 5 Green Party candidates kicked off the ballot. Montana obviously is not critical for the presidential race, but is key to Democrats trying to win the Senate majority. And it's really wild how they actually pulled this off. So the Green Party did everything right, and they got the sufficient number of signatures to be on the ballot. But the Democratic Party actually went and contacted voters who had signed the Green Party petitions and bullied them into recanting their signatures, effectively disenfranchising those voters who had already voted for the Green Party candidates in the state's primary. In Texas, national and state Democrats are suing to keep Green Party candidates off the ballot there as well. At issue in Texas is a new and possibly unconstitutional law requiring third-party candidates to pay up to a $5,000 filing fee. That law is new and is currently being litigated in the courts. The candidates in question have been upfront that they don't intend to pay those filing fees while this matter is being litigated and being resolved. One of the candidates involved told Salon, quote, "I'm dismayed that while Democrats are complaining about the Republicans and Donald Trump are trying to suppress the vote, they're doing exactly the same." But the most egregious efforts are happening in a couple of key presidential battleground states. So in Wisconsin, the Supreme Court just ruled at the 11th hour that the Green Party should be tossed from the ticket over a minor technicality. So what happened here? But perhaps the most outrageous example of all is in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, Democrats have gone so far as to allow their court challenges an aggressive war on the Green Party to delay the beginning of mail-in balloting in that absolutely critical state. So this is according to CNN. Here's what they have to say. The state's Democratic Party remains in court, battling to keep the Green Party off the ballot. The pending legal dispute has led to a delay in certification of the November ballot, and as a result, all Pennsylvania county election officials who this year could have started offering absentee or mail-in ballots, as well as in-person early absentee voting starting September 14th, are now in a holding pattern. So let me get this straight. The people who have been melting down about Trump's comments on mail-in balloting and moralizing all day and night about the sanctity of the election are actively impeding a key swing state's ability to certify their ballots and get them in the mail to voters.
Now this tells me that they see us, you and I, only as numbers, measurable numbers to claim their win in an election, not as people with values and rights they care to protect. What they did in this situation is take away our independence and rights from choosing another party. According to them, we're not allowed to choose something other than the red door or the blue door they control us through. Their margins are so slim they can't afford to lose the votes in those key states to an alternate party. Is this true democracy? Doesn't it seem, by the name of the Democratic Party, that the pursuits of real democracy should be protected? I'm not saying the Republican Party is a shining beacon for people either. It's just that in this instance, it's a clear and immediate example of them in the Democratic Party as there is a them in the Republican Party. That is taking away our foundational liberties to vote as our values determine, and the battle for control over what options they give us to choose as values. It sounds to me like they don't want to help us accomplish and pursue the values that matter to us, but rather that we serve them as meat robots. Seeing change is something most of us obviously want. As you've heard from these two and from others around you, I imagine, we won't be seeing change without some serious work and struggle. But anything worth working for doesn't come easy, right? So this is interesting to me. You heard both gentlemen value and want to pursue freedom, happiness, equal rights, just like the preamble defines. Yet like many of us, they still have opposing positions to a large degree. We also heard them agree that getting or keeping freedom, happiness, and justice under the current system is possible, but requires serious work. That might mean that both sides will have to sacrifice something valuable, at least in the short term, for something hopefully more valuable. Who's going to do the serious work? What is the serious work? In the next full episode, I will be addressing how we as people, as society and country measure what we value. What are we measuring? What metrics are driving our dollars, our clicks, our efforts at home, our politics, our legislation, and corporate endeavors? I can tell you this, and I bet you can predict. It's not pretty. It's a deep subject because it determines so many areas of our lives and how we go forward in working towards superordinate goals and differences we can overcome. What should we be measuring? Do we have the means to measure what matters? Thank you all for subscribing. You're awesome, and it's very encouraging to have you as part of my journey, our journey, looking for solutions in these precarious and challenging times. We're here together. We will rise above this together. I believe it. Thank you.